Great. Hey, well, thank you so much to Kaylin for inviting me. It was a really strange way that this thing came about. I found Kaylin on the NNG Slack channel, I think it was, and she had these great responses to God knows what people were talking about. And I remember thinking, I need to know this person. And so I reached out to her and I almost canceled at the last minute. And luckily I didn't, because we ended up talking about doshas. And then Kaylin said, this would be really cool for women who code. And I said, oh, really? That's surprising. So I used to be a yoga teacher. Actually, like once a yoga teacher, always a yoga teacher. Other yoga teachers in the house? You can do a thumbs up.
Aspiring yogi.
Do you have that enabled? Okay, so the dosha system was one I was very familiar with from my yoga days. Then I got into psychology. Well, I should say Western psychology, because a lot of yoga is based in Eastern psychology. But when I got into Western psychology, then I found out there are these, actual things called personality typing systems. And some of them are validated, reliable. Others are not so validated, reliable. And I had this realization, and I was sharing this with Kaylin, that it doesn't have to be validated. It doesn't have to be reliable for you to get some benefit from it. And so it might sound strange at first, but I will go through this presentation for you, and then maybe it will seem even stranger. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Sorry, guys, I've got my thing covering up my presentation. Give me 1 second.
I see your title of your event. I typed in trash in my URL search bar just to quickly get to the meetup event.
Okay, you guys are going to be like, wait, what? So here's what's happening. Somebody help me. I can't get the bar at the top to go away. If the bar at the top doesn't go away, I can't start presenting. So give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let's just try this.
Like view options. Maybe?
How's it working now?
That looks great.
Thank God.
Takes up the full screen.
Thank God. That's what we wanted. Okay, so I like that whole idea of like, don't throw these things away, because BuzzFeed, a lot of different places have made them popular in kind of a bad way. They seem kind of meaningless, like take the quiz, find out what you are. It's kind of viral and addictive, but then nobody really gains anything from it. But it doesn't have to be that way. So don't trash them. So here's the ugly side of, these typing systems. These are the kinds of things that I hear when I bring up any kind of a typing system to people. So on one side of the ugly side, we have everybody, doesn't want to be labeled. Don't put me in that box, right? And you don't know me. So we do have this tendency to avoid labels, and a lot of reasons. A lot of the time, it's for very good reasons. We have in the past used labels very badly in this society. We probably all have experience from labels being put on us that have been detrimental. So I'm not saying that labels are good, but I'm saying that give it a chance, and maybe the term label doesn't have to mean what we have experienced it meaning in the past. So the other side of this is, the other ugly side is that a lot of people feel like, well, what use is this to me if I find out my type? Some people also feel like it's not scientific though, is it? Right? So why should I even put any stock in it? And so for these people, I have this to say: yes, there is some utility to a typing system. And yes, there is some validity to a typing system. These are just terms for those two things I just discussed, of what use is it to me, and is it scientifically valid? But even though we have systems that are scientifically validated, it doesn't necessarily mean that those are the ones that you need to use, that those are the ones that will benefit you the most. And then getting back to this ugly side on the left side, I've decided that these are all absurdity. Do you see what I did there? So we've got utility, validity, and absurdity. So let's go into that on the labels. This was one of my favorite quotes ever. And I thought for this presentation, I would look up where it came from. And it's one of those things, it's just always been around. Sorry, guys, I can't credit anybody for this, but always remember you're unique, just like everyone else. Yeah, we probably are a little reactive about things like labels, but I'm going to ask you this question. What does it mean if you find out you're a rare type? So now you've got a label, but it's one that not many people get to have. So I'm throwing this out there. If anybody has any thoughts about this, like, let's say we just took a test, personality test, whatever. And you found out, and I say to you, hey, you're X type and only 3% of the population are that. How does that make you feel? You can unmic.
Fancy. I don't know. I don't have a lack of, but like important. Don't we all crave that?
Yeah. Anyone? Anything else?
We have good and weird from Amy.
Yes, weird.
And it's like having a rare blood type, Amanda says, which is good because everyone wants your blood for donation, right?
Exactly. Or, well, we could also go into that. I'm the universal donor. It makes me feel special because I can give my blood to everybody, but it's not a particularly rare blood type. I still get to feel special about it. So there's a lot of ways that we can feel special. So we have, thank you for pointing me at the chat. So there's something else I'd like to say about like when we're rare is that we're alone. So sometimes these things that we associate with being good are really, like it's some kind of weird twist on perception of what it really is. So if you're rare, you're separate, right? So what's the opposite of separate? You're connected. So I'm a big proponent of the connected part. And that's one of these things that you can get. If you get typed in with other people, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It really could be a source of connection for you and a feeling of belonging and a feeling of shared struggles and things like that. Let's move on.
Amanda also said, I think if I were in that situation, I would feel special and embrace that I'm rare and unique. So I love the good vibes going on here. And I also love the perspective of the other side is just if you do have the same personality type as other folks, then that means you have this community of people that are like you, or you can compare notes of like, this is how I interpret that for me. And it's a source of dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
bonding.
Right. I do feel like there's a time and place for everything. Anybody familiar with non-dualism? So non-dualism says nothing is just purely good or purely bad. Nothing has to be binary, really. And so what that means is like there's kind of like it's context dependent, right? So in design, we're oftentimes thinking of context, but assigning something as objectively good or bad doesn't ever work, but it particularly doesn't work when it comes to like, I, you know, one type is good and another type is bad, because what it turns out is that you can call up different types because you're not only one, right? Even when we get typed, we've got a little bit of other types in us, and we can kind of orchestrate and call those different types up as needed for the situation. But this also brings up another thing, is that, you know, another trap of these systems is that sometimes there's one that really stands out, one type that really stands out as being the best, that everybody wants to be. And we all know it's Gryffindor. But so, you know, there's always one, you know, like, it's pretty simple sometimes when you look at different categories, like Adam Grant. Anybody familiar with Adam Grant? He has a book out called Givers and Takers. And there's actually a test you can take, and you can find out if you're a giver or a taker, which one you want to be. I'm going to say there's a time and place for both, but
Exactly.
but we all know, yeah, response bias would say, socially desirable responding would say, oh, I'm a giver. That's the one. I hope I get that one. Okay, so another question then.
Sorry, I just want to say, like, I feel like women are always like obligated to be like givers in some like sense. As women, like when I go to like any kind of like volunteering thing, like it's always just saturated with women. Like I've never seen men in there. So I don't know. I just wanted to put it out there.
Yeah, I love this observation. Well, some might say it does have something about our tendency to be connectors. I mean, getting back to this connecting thing, might have something to do with our tendency, you know, like I say our tendency, but women aren't a type either. You know, there's a lot of types within the type. But we do know that there are some qualities around nurturing that women tend to have because of biological differences. That's what they think anyway. So, so what does that mean? It means that, you know, we might be more likely to be collective, you know, to be more collectivist than individualist. And what does that mean? Well, we're gonna be more givers, but also we're gonna be doing things more together, right? So there's some overlap, like we want to do things for the community, and oftentimes volunteer things are like that. But also we want to, you know, we don't want, very often we want to see others benefit, not just ourselves. Now, I don't want to bash any dudes and say that they don't want the same thing. I'm just going to say it might be less, might not come as natural to them. Amy says, yeah, social conditioning. Definitely social conditioning is at play. And, you know, whether you're male or female, you're being socially conditioned to behave certain ways. Yeah. And so there's some of each. When we talk about the typing systems here and we go through some of them are more biological based, or what we would consider like enduring or trait specific instead of state specific. So state specific are those things that are more malleable. So you might get a type and it might change, and that would mean that it's more of a state-based phenomenon rather than a trait-based one. And sorry guys, I do have a bit of a cold, so I'm going to be doing some of this, and there might be a point in coughing and stuff. There might be a point where I just ask you to talk a lot more, okay? Might be coming soon. Okay, so so the question, oh, I'm so sorry. I had a question for you. So this question I have, give me a second, you guys. Question I have for you, I have a sticky finger, is it bad to select what you want to believe you are and then proceed as if you are that? I know it sounds like it's not a question, is it? It's a suggestion. What this is a suggestion.
I don't
What do you guys
think
got
it's
for me on
bad.
this?
I think, your words and your emphasis on what you do and how you choose to be like have power. So if you say you are something, then you can proceed that way. I don't think it's bad or good. It's you got the gray area again.
Yeah. I also think it's important to think about, like I know people do like future state vision meditations. Mary, you'd know the name for this, but like you'll listen to an audio that's like a meditation on thinking about what you want to be. So if you want to believe you are someone, then you can like reflect on where you want to go, where you are now, and then maybe like how you could do something to get where you want to be. Maybe you want to think about why you want to be there. Haven't really thought into that, but it could be kind of like a journaling, like progress check to think about where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I like both of those things, Amanda and Kaylin. So if we are able to proceed as if we are something that we are actually aspiring to be, it'll work great most of the time. I feel like the only time that it won't work great would be if it causes you to miss or overlook something that does need your attention, that you really aren't there on, right? So it would be kind of like deceiving yourself in that case. How do you know the difference? I guess it's a matter of awareness, like how aware we are. We don't want to miss something critical that needs our attention. Because that's the whole point of these typing systems, is putting your attention on the things that have the biggest impact to help you. So a typing system can get us there. Let's see what we have here in the chat. Yeah, some people like labels to feel connected. Yep. Yeah. That does make sense. Thank you for that. There was something else I wanted to say at this point, but maybe it's going to come later anyway. Proceed as if you are that. Oh, yeah, yes, what Kaylin said. So what they found in most recent research about this kind of, visualizing a future self is that you do need to do some, what do we call it? Counterfactuals. These are where we have to not just blindly believe that our future self will happen, but we have to anticipate what could go wrong, between where I'm at and this future self thing, and then put plans in place. Implementation intentions. That's another one. That's where we do think through everything, and we don't let ourselves off the hook. Just because we're doing a visualization of a future self, it doesn't mean that we have no work to do. So then there's very specific work we can do in combination with that. And so that usually works very well. These things called implementation intentions, like if I encounter X obstacle, then I am prepared with this solution or way of overcoming. So that's kind of a way to make sure that your visualization isn't just you slacking off. Right. So this part about non-scientific, like the validity, that validity part, sometimes this just means not correlated with an outcome the white patriarchy decided was worthwhile. So what really, we can stop and think about success measures. What really is a success measure? For me, a success measure would be that, I'm able to put some time towards volunteer efforts, like Anna had said, I have a kind of life with some freedom to be able to do that. Well, that's not going to necessarily be the white patriarchy's idea of what success is. And I'm not saying that this is, the reason why we don't have to worry too much about correlation in these typing systems, but I am saying that it's definitely a factor. That the populations that we've used in research studies are the weird sample, which I always forget what it stands for. Western, educated, somebody knows the other 3 letters. Industrialized something and something. Democratic. Not everybody lives that way. And so some things we can test out on those populations and get validity, but some things, no, they do require context. So that's what I got to say about that. Okay. That's me answering this question for you already. Does something have to be scientific to have value? My answer is it does not, right? There's a lot of ways that we assign value to things. Thank you, Anna. Rich. Oh my God, I forgot Rich. Okay, so that would be a success measure for some people too, So Western, educated, industrialized, rich, democratic. Weird is weird. Okay. So what even is a type? So oftentimes we think of stereotypes. These would be these negative labels that we've associated things with. Let's not use stereotypes. It's not like I will not have you take any quiz that assigns you a stereotype. I promise. Okay. So next over from that, like if we kind of evolve from stereotype, we get archetype. So these are like broader examples of a certain type. Sometimes people, I don't know, if it's a term that people like to relate to, they say, well, my archetype is, and some typing systems like the anagram actually use archetype. And so people can attach to something like that. I thought this was kind of fun though. Prototype is a type, and it means kind of like the unique one that's kicking it all off. So you can see how all of this is related in everything we talked about so far. And then I just thought this would be kind of a fun slide. Diagnoses. So when you get a diagnosis, you are being assigned a type, but that, like sometimes you feel like shit and then you go to the doctor, finally, you decide you got time to go, and then you find something out. And what you find out is that you have anemia, but that explains things for you. Now you know why you've been so fatigued. Now you can, get resources for that very specific thing relevant to your challenge of having anemia, the fatigue associated with it. So I really like the second bullet. I spent some time wording this one, and it is that a diagnosis makes it easy to focus on the things that will have the most impact on our challenges. And a typing system can do that for you, right? Assigning a type. So that last bullet is just me having a little fun with this, okay? Our healthcare system can't even proceed to help us unless we have one of these types called a diagnosis. You guys aren't seeing me move my chat all around, are you? My chat window?
No, it doesn't show up.
Well then, another win. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of binary types that are just quick and fun to think about, okay? You might have heard of chronotype. Are you a morning person, night person? And how many people know which one you are? Can we do a poll? I'm so bad at this. Can somebody do a poll? Namely, if Kaylin could sit down her pizza.
I have pizza mouth, but I can do it. Hold on.
Well, I'm gonna see if I can figure it out. I haven't done a poll before. No, can't figure it out. The other
I
way
thought
that
I
we
could
could
at
do
least.
these. The other way, we don't have to do a poll because I've got 3 of these to do, but hey, yeah, just throw it in the chat, people.
There we go.
Okay,
Well,
Amanda's an afternoon pigeon. She's okay, so now she's changed it from binary to tertiary. Though we do have, some of the chronotype systems do have different things. We got some morning. Wait a minute.
But then going back to your point, Mary, I'm like, I wish I was a morning lark because that would mean I could get up earlier for work and then end my day. I think there's like function and value in being a morning person because of the way my like 9 to 5 works.
Yeah, right. And stop and think about this. Like, so this is me, okay, what I know about your chronotype is that it is 50% heritable. So 50% of it is in your genetic makeup. But then I'm like, what do I even do with that? That's only half. Like, okay, so then I can maybe mess around with the other half and try to change it. But no matter what, I got this other half that's working against me, right? If I want to switch to being a morning person, right? If my job makes me, yeah, it's just know that you have some to work with chronotype, but just because it's 50%, it just is a hard one for me to wrap my head around. So, okay. So I learned about this one recently. If you've heard of this, put something in the chat, but the maximizer and satisficer. A maximizer is somebody who has to explore all options before making a decision. And when you think about choices that we do on a daily basis, that tendency could really bog people down, could affect how effective they are. But a satisficer is somebody who says, here's the minimum criteria. I just have to meet that. I don't have to keep going to find the best option, just got to meet it. So this is a fun one to take a look at on your own. But most of us know which one we are if we stop and think about it, because it's a tendency that we end up fighting if we happen to be a maximizer. So in my new role as a UX researcher, there is too much to be done for me to maximize all the things I do. So if I have a report to write this week, which is 100 slides long, which is different than pages, and I'm a maximizer, I will never get it done. But if I just know what are the most important points I need to hit, just keep everything to satisfying criteria, I'm going to do much better. So you guys can take a look at that. I don't have any good resources. It's my next project. I don't really have any good resources on it. Yeah, you guys, a fun thing to do here is analyze your partners. That's what Kaylin says in the chat. Yeah. Maximizer in the house, literally. Okay, lane type. So when you're on a 4-lane highway and you're heading on down that road, which lane do you find yourself in? So what does this mean? Guys, you can make up a personality type test for anything. And so we have some right laners, and I am left. I am always in the left lane. I'm always trying to find a way to get in the most left lane. But, there's a moderation of that tendency when it comes close to the, Diana, way to go. Speaking of moderation, Diana knows moderation, middle lane. So yeah, unless I have to get over to the right, I'm not going to do it. And I think what that says about me is I have to get to the objective, goal, destination as fast as possible. And, it also might just say that I'm annoyed by inefficiencies. I can make it mean anything I want if I decided to put this personality test online. Okay. And then Kaylin has the negative archetype in the chat for this. I rush through life. I have to think about slowing down and appreciating the present as a left laner. So there's a fun thing. I'll throw this out here for Kaylin and anybody else like me who's always in the left lane. If you get the chance to get out in nature where there actually are deer, and you get to go on foot in nature in a region where there's a lot of deer, go out at dusk because that's when they'll be out. And deer are known symbolically as the stop and slow down animal. So if you encounter one, that's the message. And it happens to me a lot at dusk in certain areas where a deer just suddenly appears on the trail in front of me, and it just makes you stop. And then I do the whole thing where I'm like, oh, I know what this means. And I take a moment and I go, you're supposed to slow down. And then I might think that way for like, I don't know, a whole 20 minutes. So yeah, I'd suggest trying that, Kaylin. All right, so let's move on past binary types. Oh yeah, hey, did you guys notice a binary type that's missing that everybody talks about? It's not male, female. It is extrovert, introvert, extrovert, introvert, extrovert, introvert. And I'm like so over it because I think most of us, all right, it's just, they are stereotypes now. Did Amanda get it? But anyway, yeah, they are, I feel like they are stereotypes now. And, oops, sorry. Well, hey, this is the next one we're going on to. But yeah, so it's extroverts and introverts. Everybody's got a little bit of both. I'm one of the rare ones, so special, all alone on the line in extrovert introvert when I take a Myers-Briggs test. One of the things they say about people on the line like that is that you're a child, literally, you're a child. You haven't grown up yet, haven't found out where you fall. So that's me. Hi, everybody. I'm a child. Yeah, ambivert, like how come Myers-Briggs, how come since we know so much more, thank you, Diana, how come we don't throw ambivert into the Myers-Briggs now? Like, how come it's not, how come all of those categories still stay binary? I don't know.
Like it's
right, so this was
why like two-dimensional like scale when there could be way more dimensions for whatever they're trying to capture there.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like exactly, they could be two different continuums for just extrovert and introvert. You know what I mean? I could be at point X, or I could, I don't know, you know, 1 to 10. I could be like maybe a 5 on extrovert, and then maybe I don't know, 8 on introvert. So they don't have to be like, you know, like, is it mutually exclusive? That's not quite the right term, but you know what I mean? Like, it could be two separate scales. I'll blast the Myers-Briggs later though. It's on the agenda. Okay, so this is just a fun one if you've been looking at it. I found this online that talks a little bit about, you know, that actually includes the scale, but I don't want you guys to take this one anyway, but it gives you an idea of what we mean by maximizer. Okay, so now, yeah, let's do this. Okay, so this is the part where I am going to be relying on, let's see, I'm going to be relying on Kaylin to get us into breakout rooms because, you know, that's not my strength. I'm the type of, I'm non-Zoom type.
Non-Zoom type.
No, not really. I mean, whatever. But for the most part, like, yeah, I tend to not want to do all of the stuff related to remote work unless I have to. Okay, so mandatory for each of these quizzes that we're going to take. Before each quiz, ask yourself, which type is the best one to be? Which one seems like the best one? Like if you could pick one. And then the second thing you're going to ask is, which type do you think that you are? These are going to then serve as the questions afterwards. Like if we're going to do breakout rooms, I don't know if we need to, if we have, how many people we have? I'll leave it up to you guys if we want to do breakout rooms to talk about these things.
We have 9 total, so we could do like a 4 and a 5.
Yep, we can do that. And then, yeah, these are the questions you'll be talking about, as well as anything else at all the hell that you want to talk about. Okay. Because we're organic today. I was telling Caitlin this. Okay. So you're going to determine which one seems like the best one to be in, which one do you think you are before you even take the test.
And I'm waiting to do those, right? You're going to go through them first and then we'll do each one.
Well, I think we'll go through, like, I just have one slide like this for each one of the 3 that we're going to try to hit on before night's end. If we don't get through all of them, that's okay. But it shouldn't take more than like 3 minutes to take each of these quizzes. I didn't choose any that take a long time. If you want to take some that take a long time, if you're the kind of person, if you're a maximizer, you want to find out all your types, then I have some slides for you at the end where you can find those resources. I also, do you guys want me to put, here, actually, I'll put this in the chat. Okay. So this is where we're going to go to take this quiz in a moment. We'll just kind of like, I'll pause and then give ourselves 3 minutes and then rejoin once you've completed it.
Okay, I see what you want to do.
Yeah. So let me tell you what this quiz is about. This one answers this question: how do we make ourselves do shit? So sometimes it's hard to make yourself do the things that you need to do, that you will actually benefit from, that others around you will benefit from. So here are the different types. These are the things where you're going to think like, which one seems like the best one? Which one do I think I am? And what's going to be fun here, we could do a correlation of, like, do you even need to take the quiz, or could you just look at these and go, oh yeah, I'm definitely that one. That could be fun. Maybe we will track that quantitatively.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a good idea though. Yeah. Okay. So the different types, I'm not going to tell you what they are because I don't want to bias you, but these words are going to then stand as they are until after the test. Upholder, questioner, obliger, and rebel. So you will end up in one of those 4 categories. Not only will this tell you how do you make yourself do shit, it also will tell you how to make others do shit. Okay, this one is big in the workplace. They don't quite phrase it that way, but that's really what it is. Like if I'm talking to somebody who's a different type than me, but I'm talking to them as if they're going to be convinced by the same shit that convinces me then to do something, right? Then it's not going to work on them. So, if your whole workplace was to take just this one quiz and share that, some companies obviously do this kind of stuff, but you might all get along. Okay. So as far as the roots of this, so I talked about like evidence-based and stuff in like the write-up for this workshop / presentation. So evidence-based is that there's something called Murray's System of Needs from 1938. It's a pretty old thing, obviously, right? And it has to do with alpha press, beta press. So whether you are, sometimes just saying those words, it's really impressive. So I would ask you all to memorize like a handful of terms that make you sound like you know what you're talking about. But yeah, alpha press, beta press. So alpha press just means like objective external sources are determining for you what you will do, are the determinants. Otherwise, the beta press is that it's more subjective. It's your perception of those things. It's more internal forces at work in getting yourself to do something. So So this is based a little bit in that. These different categories obviously harken back to that once you take your quiz and you find out about your type. So another fun thing to do might be to have, when we're done, when you're in your breakout groups, is make sure that if you have people of multiple different types, that you get a little bit from everybody that who is that type, because you won't find out much about any type other than your own, right? It'll return your results. It'll say you are X. It'll tell you about that one. Then you'll be wondering about the others, right? So the other people in your group can share what they are. Obviously, maybe you'll all be the same thing and it won't work out that great, but then we'll regroup in the big group and we'll talk a little bit more about the different types.
Right.
Okay, I'm ready to take the test. Who else is?
I don't have any questions.
I had a question. So do we fill out what we think we are or what we want to be?
Both.
Both, I think.
Yeah.
In that
They're
one.
two.
Oh,
They're two. Yeah, just two questions to ask yourself. You don't have to write it down, but if you look at that list of obligers, questioners, upholders, and rebels, which one do you want to be? Right? This is that kind of like, what if I was visualizing or aspiring to one? It's also response bias or socially desirable responding. Like one of them is going to seem like a better thing to be, and but what's socially desirable to one person could be different than the next. And I'm trying not to bias anybody, but by not making examples out of this one.
Yeah. So we're not doing the test, that link that you sent to.
Yeah. So we are doing that test. We're gonna like all go dark for 3 minutes. And how do we let everybody know? How do you say that you're back?
So I'm gonna do it for like 10 minutes and then it'll auto close, but that just to give time to discuss a little bit, but I can also close it manually from my end. But it'll start counting down at like 60 seconds.
Okay, so you'll do 10 minutes that will include both taking the test and breakout group.
Yeah,
okay, that sounds great. I like that. Does everybody understand what we're doing? Anybody have questions? That's a better question. Anybody have questions about what we're doing? Yes, Anna.
I haven't had a question. So first we're gonna take the test 2 times. Is that what I'm understanding? First time what we want to be. Oh, I thought you would just have to make like a selection.
I see where you are. My gosh. Okay, I see where you're going with this. Okay, but I didn't before. No, just ask yourself the question. Don't take the test as if you are that.
Oh, don't actually take the test.
Nope. The only thing I want you to do on the test is be completely authentic with who you are. So you'll find out your actual type. But before you take the test, yeah. So give your real answers, be genuine. But before you take it, ask yourself, if I could be any one of these types, which one would I be?
I wrote down like best type, I think maybe sounds upholder, but then I'm guessing my type, this might be backwards for you. My guess type for myself is questioner or rebel, possibly. And then now when we go into our breakout rooms, I'm going to take it and just compare and just see what I actually end up like being very honest and like trying not to think too much about what I want to be. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. I got it now. Yeah.
What were the types again, Mary? I'm sorry. I'm like crashing this.
Yeah, give me a sec. Give me a sec. Okay.
They had them listed.
Here they are.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Sorry.
Nice.
Yep. No worries.
Questioner. I feel like that's what I am right now.
What's fun is like, you can start typing people. You can be the
little rebel.
The type quiz for people by just, like I do that with Doshas. Doshas is coming up next.
Okay, I'm ready for it. Should we start these breakout rooms?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. It's going to send you magic carpet into the breakout room. All right. I'll see you in there. Welcome back. I bet we shocked everybody with the 60-second countdown in the other breakout room. I used to be able to do an announcement, but I think it doesn't let me when I'm back in the main room. So in that case, Amanda, Kim, were you able to look at some of the takeaways for questionnaire?
Oh, yeah. So I just posted what I just copied on the PDF and just pasted on the chat. So all in all, but a questionnaire would be just motivated by just reason and logic behind, my actions or anybody's action really. So if it makes sense to me, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. But if it doesn't make sense to me, then I would be like, why? Or I would just be like, nah. And I guess, yeah. And I guess, yeah, it's kind of like me because the last time when I was at work a long time ago, one of my boss, oh man, I just don't remember, but she asked me to do something, but to me, it doesn't make any sense because I would just want to help people, but she wants me to, rush some things out. And when she said that, I'm just like, doesn't make sense. Now I'm just gonna go with what I do. So I end up, helping my coworkers more, which, cost them more labor for them, but more money for me. But at the same time, I get to help my coworkers. They're grateful, but management doesn't seem to be so grateful about it. But at the time I was like 25 working as a server, and I guess overall the result makes sense, but I don't want to put myself as the questionnaire label, but it's just fun to see the answers to what the quizzes just offer, and not
and just see which ones you relate to, and like which ones you don't really relate to. That's how I kind of used horoscopes for a while. It's just like, well, what parts of these can I use? Or like, if the planets are in alignment and this is how I should feel today, do I feel that way? Let's think about that. And then it's kind of like just a prompt. So Mary, we were saying that Amanda Kim got the questionnaire response, and she was the questionnaire type, and she guessed that. So I guess that I would be something other than what I got, which was the obliger. So I don't know how you wanted to talk about everything in the main room. Did you have a preference for if everyone wanted to share what they had maybe in the chat, or?
Yes, good question. So I was trying to do a little bit of quant over here and figure out who got them right, if there's any correlation between what type you are and knowing what type you are. That's a good question too. Like in our group, I have reason to believe that obligers know themselves, because 2 of 3 people in our group got their type right, and they were both obligers. Anna, did you end up being a rebel?
I did. I guessed I'm gonna be a rebel, and then I ended up being a rebel. I feel like I predicted that too, because that was the only word that I understood out of all the 4 words. So I was like, this is what I'm gonna be. But I think it's just really nice to, like, also just talking about it. It's really nice to like feel that, just opening up about it with you guys, and just that, like the little vulnerability that it like brings to just to express that, like, what do I think I am, and what do I want to be? Just that, I think that we like live these lives where we just really just perform in our roles, and it's I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes, you blew me away, because this should be a part of this presentation, is that sometimes knowing your type doesn't just make you a generalized thing in a group of people. It actually does the opposite from what you said. Now people know something about me. Now they know me more than I didn't even, like, I don't know that person very well, but they get to know me because they know my type. They get like insights into me that does result in a little sensation, I'm sure, of vulnerability, which I didn't really think about Probably because I generally do not care how much people know about me. I'm one of those people like all my cards are visible. Sorry. If you want anything to be secret, or if it's cooler for me to hold some shit back, it's not going to happen. So
be an open or closed type.
Yes, exactly. There is, we're going to do the ocean. Let's see what this is. You guys are talking food.
Chicken soup over here.
What? Yes. Okay. Right. So is the type of food that you like a way to type people? I think it's a little too context dependent on season, because I wouldn't be eating soup about 3 months ago, but right now I'll be eating all the soup.
Cold soup is not an option.
So it's like,
summer.
it's all confounded. It's too confounded by season and probably other factors like where you live and what you have access to. And yeah. Okay. So yeah. I don't know what I want to do with quantitative stuff. But I misunderstood Anna that she had guessed right. That she had said she was a questioner, but now we got 3 of 3 in our group. So see if you guys can beat that the next time. Okay, so let's see what else I wrote down here. Oh yeah, I'm typing you guys as we go too. Are we gonna have different people in the for the next one? Are we gonna have different people in the next breakout group, or are we gonna stay with the same?
I was thinking we could do different. What do you think of that?
Yep. Yeah, I like that. Okay, that way I get a chance to type everybody.
Okay. And then Nisha just joined in.
Yeah.
They said it's morning here. Can anyone give me an idea what's going on right now? Mary, do you want to give a summary while I set this up?
Yeah. Hi, Nisha. So we just took one personality quiz called the 4 Tendencies, and that one is up a little bit further in the chat. And then we did it in, took our own time to take the quiz online, and then did a breakout in which we had to discuss a couple of questions that I posed in the beginning. So let me share what those questions are real briefly for everybody. Again, okay. So we just did this one, the 4 Tendencies, and the link is up in the chat if you'd like to do that on your own. Here are the questions you'll ask yourself before the next quiz. And so you came in at a good time, Nisha, because we're just moving on to quiz number 2 of 3. I think we might get through 3, we'll see. So one question you'll ask yourself when you see the different types that you will be, cast into is, which one do you think is the best? Like, which one is the best to be? And then the second question is, what type do you think you actually are? And so what we found out is that people are pretty good at predicting the 4 tendencies and which type they might end up being. So for the 4 tendencies, those types were upholder, questioner, obliger, and rebel. Sorry, guys. In our discussion group, we seem to have an affinity for upholder. Like, we think that's the best one. We kind of feel like we want to be that one. We did talk a little bit how it kind of relates to the giver, like between the giver and the taker, that in some ways, like when you're upholding people, you're kind of doing the same thing that we do when we are considering the collective rather than acting individualistically. So we talked a little bit about that. Oh, hey, and my type is actually questioner, which I figured it was actually. But as a researcher, it works well to have that type up to a certain point if I can manage my maximizing tendency. So if I can satisfy and be a questioner, that's a better combo for me as a researcher, because otherwise I can question things forever and get down into things, weeds, like that aren't necessary. Okay. I think what we'll do is we'll get through the quizzes, and then we can talk about the types more later if we wanted to. I think it'd be more fun to do the quizzes. So meaning like we could sit here and have more discussion about, you know, who's an obliger and did you know it or whatever. Or we could get through some more quizzes. And I'd rather do that and then save talking more about the types for later. All right, so this is my favorite. It's doshas. And this is what started this whole thing. It's why I'm here today. Okay, so doshas are Ayurvedic constitutions is how I like to think of it. And so a constitution would mean like your makeup. What is your makeup? How are you made? So a dosha is going to be something, oh, I'm not supposed to really talk about it. Sorry, I want to do the same way I did the last one, but let's do it the same way. So it would be a dosha is something that answers the question, why do I always do that shit? It's about your tendencies. It's about your makeup and what you are inclined to do because of this constitution that you have. This one has roots to -1000, the year -1000 is what I'm calling it, you know, roots in Ayurveda. Okay, so this one I'd love to talk about too much. So I'm really right now self-regulating, just want you to know. So there are 3 types here. And what's that, Kaylin?
I'm gonna grab the URL so I could send it in the chat there.
Oh, yeah, I can throw it in there too. Did you get it? Because
I typed it.
I believe I got it.
If you got it, go for it. I keep getting an error page.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for the reminder. Okay, so
There it is.
Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Is there anybody in this group who knows what these 3 things are?
Yeah,
No
I
idea.
have some idea about them.
Someone has
Got
an
an
idea
idea?
about them?
Yeah,
What?
these are like there are like 5 elements. The ether, water, and there's air and fire, and I don't remember the 5th one. I mean, there are 5 elements, and these 5 elements are inside everyone, literally everyone. And the composition of those elements, like the percentage of those elements constitute to ultimately the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And then there is balancing these 3 doshas. This is not in Hindi, doshas are like a flaw, but that's not a flaw in when we're talking in yoga. Okay, and so doshas, we generally say in Hindi that this guy is a dosh, that means a flaw. But here these 3 doshas are like more like composition rather than
Yeah.
flaws. So we have to embrace those doshas and work on it. Then there are chakras that kind of linked to these 3 doshas. So yeah, I did some yoga courses, so I got some idea about these 3.
That's
Mine
way
is,
more
guess,
than I knew,
Pitta.
Nisha. That's great. Thank you so much. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll take notes down here.
These are like the
Yeah.
3 overall 3 personalities kind of thing in yoga. Vata, Pitta, and Dosha. I guess I am the Pitta one. I knew that
Okay.
because yeah.
Let's help everybody guess which one they are with just one little hint. And that little hint is one element tied to each of these Sanskrit terms. So Vata, air element, Pitta, fire element, Kapha, earth element. Think of it like that. There is some, I'm not going to complicate it with anything else, but yeah. Okay, so you're going to be choosing between whether you think you are a air type, fire type, or earth type. And this type, knowing this type will help you understand your tendencies. Okay, so I
Got my
think,
rooms ready.
okay, good. Because I was gonna say, I think we're ready for breakout. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Magic carpet ride. We'll see you in there. Yes, the Zoom told me that it is still recording now that we're back in the main room. So if you wanted to change anything about your your presentation, then we can do that. And then if you're concerned about it at all, I can always post the recording, or I can clip certain parts out. Just let me know if that's something you're interested in. I'll send my email in the chat about that real quick. And then I can throw it back to you, Mary, for discussion.
Okay. Yeah. So how many people, show by raising your hand, got your dosha right? Oh,
Like a percentage, like a stronger
sorry guys,
percentage.
you're not, I just told you to turn your screen on when we're recording, but whatever. Or in the chat, Yeah, there we go. So again, it's like, do we need the system? So if you got it wrong, we had one, like Georgia got it wrong because of an interpretation thing, like just being told like earth, air, fire, you know, it didn't, how we interpret those things might be different than the intention of those types.
You also pointed out that she's used a version with like 5 different components, where there's also, I think, space, she said, was one of them. I forget the other one, the 5th one, but that was interesting too, because I didn't get any Vata percentage.
Yeah, and so I got you wrong because I thought you were Pitta Vata.
Ah, yeah, see,
I did.
you would think I'm Vata, but my kapha's in there. I'll take it.
And then ether, like ether and water are not included in there, but they're components. So like, you know, when you're Pitta, you actually have some water element. When you're Kapha, you actually have some water element. It's considered a combo of them. But the Chopra system, the test, that's something I should have talked about, is these are really decent sources for these tests. That's why I chose them. They're also chosen because they're fast. You know, like you don't have to do a whole lot to get an answer.
Mm-hmm.
So they're well thought out, well presented, but they're not necessarily to the level that might give you as much insight to yourself as what's possible out there. So you can take full-on Ayurvedic dosha tests. We talked about, you can take the tests in which you are testing your physiology or your physicalness with one test, and it could be a different dosha than your mental, your mind dosha. So that can happen. And so we talked about that because Amanda mentioned that she thought she felt some disappointment that she didn't fall in the creative category. And it's like, well, yeah. You want to talk about that?
No, I mean, sure. But you know, when I saw that you know, Vata was, you know, the kind of the creativity, I was like, oh darn, I've at least perceived myself to be creative. Whether or not others do is different, right? But I just thought that might have come through in a personality test, but not a huge deal. I'm not going to cry about it. Don't worry. But you know, at the same time, I was just surprised.
Like this type is of warm heart and steady of mind. Like you definitely have a warm heart, I would say.
Oh, thank you.
So maybe it is the interpretation.
The interpretations of the thing that I got correct, but I was just surprised about that little piece.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a little sliver in that category.
Either.
So Amanda, I'll tell you the kind of like the negative, like meaning like if you took a photograph and there was a negative to that, I have no kapha in me, and when I took that particular test, but I generally don't have much kapha in me when I take them anyway. But I sent a message to my boyfriend right after, and it said, I'm cold-hearted and unsteady. I'm 100% that, because I'm 0% warm-hearted and steady, or whatever those things were for kapha, you know?
He's like, yeah.
So we can definitely have some fun with it, but yeah, you can find tests. And if you do, you know, share them amongst each other if you're interested, that will test independently your mind dosha and your physical body dosha. because they're not always the same. And then what do you do with that afterwards? I don't know. I haven't gotten that far into it. And Nisha says that was very efficient. Yeah, almost too efficient, but fun and pretty accurate for the most part, pretty accurate. What I want to do now is share. Share this again just to talk a little bit about Vata Pitta Kapha. And we talked about tridoshic. So you could consider a fourth type being tridoshic. You have all the doshas in equal measure, and it makes you perfect. It makes you that one that everybody wants to be. So when I was really into my yoga, definitely we are all aspiring to being tridoshic. And what it means is you're upregulating and downregulating the different elements in your system to try to get there. I mentioned when I am around people who are tridoshic, there is just this sense of calm, this sense of what we call sattva. Sattva in Sanskrit is like calm yet alert, like the state we all want to be able to be in to really get shit done, but also just to take in things in life. So we talked a little bit about that. What does that mean to be tridoshic? Is it a destination we should aspire to? Is it even possible? Are some people just born that way? And if there are people who are just born that way, right? So we talk about prakriti and vikriti. And it's kind of like in palmistry where you talk about your fate hand and your destiny hand. So what it means is what you're born with is your prakriti. It's what your, your makeup as intended. And then your vikriti is what you become, the changes you've made in your life and how that has shifted you. So when you were born, you might not have been this exact same balance of doshas as what you are now. So the question is, should we all, okay, no, I guess the interesting question I think is, if I'm born without a job to do, right? If I'm born tridoshic and I don't have anything I need to balance out, to me, it seems like a pretty static existence. It's not a dynamic existence. I don't know. It's almost like being born without challenges, period, right? As much as it sounds like a good idea, look at all the accomplishments you make because you're overcoming a bunch of challenges that you have. Would there even be any motivation or drive to do those things? So that was kind of an aside, but I found it kind of interesting. So anybody want to share anything about your dosha? Anybody particularly surprised by their dosha? Sorry. Well, we only have 15 minutes.
Sorry.
Oh, were you talking?
I was just a wee. I think this one was a little bit more accurate. I don't know. The last group, I felt like I got mine completely wrong. But this one, I was like, yep, fire. Nailed it. But I was surprised that I didn't get any Vata because I'm supposed to be a creative person. Kind of like Amanda. It's like,
Yeah,
that's my label.
I was expecting the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do we have time for one more?
I think we'll give it a go, and then we'll cut out of the breakout rooms early if we have to. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, okay, now I just changed my mind, of course. Let me share my screen. Okay, I'm going to whip through everything that's left in here. The big five is the one that we'll do right now. And then as fast as we can, and then not talk about it very much. But there's tons of resources on the big five, because this is the one that's totally validated and has a ton of utility. It's all about, it's better than Myers-Briggs, okay? It should substitute for Myers-Briggs. What is it? You have these 5 different categories. These are the big 5 aspects of personality, whether you're open to new things, whether you're conscientious, whether you're extroverted, agreeable, or neurotic, right? And so you're going to be on one side of either of these. So it ends up being a lot of types when you could be, okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Is that all? No. If you're grouping all of these together, can somebody do the combinatorics on this? Like we've got 2, 2, 2.
available.
Yeah.
Geez, I don't remember how to do that. I know what you're talking about
That will
though.
be 120, I
Is it
guess.
32?
129? Is that what
The
you said?
2 to the 5th? I think it's 2 to the
120
5th.
take one at a time.
What is it? Anyway,
Sorry, can you send in the chat that my audio is not great?
you guys are programmers, so I expect you to come up,
Women who code.
busting this shit out. But yeah, thank you for putting that in there. Okay, so lots of validity, lots of roots. These are about traits. This is traits, not states. So things that are enduring. So whatever you find out here are things that you will fight for the rest of your life and or do well for the rest of your life. Okay, let's bust on over to, once you finish this, you've been typed about all this shit, right? How to make yourself do shit, why you always do that shit. That was the Dosha one. And then this one that we're about to do. Okay. And I'm going to plunk these links in there, I guess, because some people are all about the Myers-Briggs, and here's a good one. This is a good place to do it. So I vetted this one. Okay. And then, there are 16 types here. And then the love languages, you guys, you can actually work this really, really well for different aspects of work. So the love languages are how you respond to what you're given, right? So this, of course, makes sense with coworkers. Are you giving me time, or are you giving me words? What are you giving me? Hopefully they're not giving you touch unless consensual, but yeah. Okay. At the very end, I thought we would talk about other type quizzes, but there's no time, right? There's no time. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. We can do this, or we can take that last quiz. And then then I'm going to drop the link to this in a Google Drive so that you have this whole presentation. But pick one type that you learned that you are, and then do something with it. Use it for good, right? Use it as that challenge, that as that one intervention for a challenge that you have. So you can do something like that. You can use it to feel more rare and just feel special. You can use it to help yourself feel like others are going through this too. Okay. And then the final thing, of course, is that other people have types too. And then once we get a little better at understanding types, then we might be able to interact better with others. Okay, I think that's all I got there. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I should have kept that up, but let's go ahead and pick your type. No, I don't want to share. Never mind. Go ahead and pick your type. Did you drop in? Oh, you dropped in everything.
I dropped a couple options in.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. The one you want is the Sci Toolkit one.
Sci Toolkit. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay.
We
And
had
that's
a few
also
people
just a fun
drop
site,
off, so we could
everybody.
just stay in this group.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and take your test. I'm going to drop in the Google Drive link.
For this one, are we running the demo of the survey? That's the only button.
Yes, that's how you take it. Yeah. And then you just have to screenshot it if you wanted to save it, because it's just, not going to save it for you. You don't have to put your email address in.
Oh boy, there's a very highlighted button.
It's totally old school.
Anyone wants a portfolio process? Redo site toolkit. I'm going to copy your presentation also to the Women Who Code Drive, if that's okay. I don't totally know. I was looking at the averages for these. I hope I'm not super distracting everyone. Still working on it, but just looking at the averages for the self-administered condition. And I am noticeably higher on openness than averages for any of the age groups. And then I'm slightly more neurotic than most young adults.
Yeah, I am with you on the neuroticism. Got a 4.67, seems high, right?
Higher than mine, yeah. I got a 4.
I think I'm
You know,
functional though.
Yeah, high functioning neurotic. Oh, Amanda got 4.
It's the curse of the Amandas. We just yep. Mary's just like, I'm a 1.67. I'm totally fine.
No, it's a matter of I don't give a shit, right? Part of it is when you get older, I mean, honestly, that's a part of it. It's just automatically going to happen. It'll be a little easier. Just saying.
That's nice. That's comforting. To be fair, comforting.
Did anyone get some numbers that were surprising for them? Oh, Trisha got a 5. I think on neuroticism.
I got pretty high numbers for all of them. All above the average. I don't know what that means, but.
Was that your highest one for neuroticism?
Well, I exited out of the website. I don't know. I mean, my highest number was openness at 6.67, but in terms of above average, the neuroticism caught my eye the most. I think because there's also like a negative connotation with that word, I feel like,
like when my dog gets the zoomies, I'm like saying he's being neurotic right now.
Yeah, I had another word for that. That was the positive thing of it. It'd be easier to say I'm low in the opposite of neuroticism than to say I am high in neuroticism. Don't you think?
It's like a flipped one, right?
What's that?
Like that one I feel like is kind of the opposite.
Yes.
Like open, conscientious, extroverted, agreeable. Like those all seem kind of positive, but then neuroticism seems like you go the other way.
It is. It's negatively associated with a lot of outcomes, and the other ones are all positively associated. So it's kind of weird. I think they just couldn't figure out what the opposite of neuroticism is and be able to call it that. I don't know.
But that doesn't spell anything cool, so.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another point. Yeah, that's probably it. You hit it. Okay. Well, anyway, time's up in 2 minutes. I want to thank everybody for playing along. And I hope you do get the chance to put this to work in some way, right? Pick a type and then just, let yourself like acknowledge that you have those qualities of that type in a way that allows you then to get resources for your challenges, but also allows you to emphasize on the other side of that, emphasize your strengths. You know, it's good to look at this and go, oh my God, I'm awesome because of these strengths. And it's also good to look at these and go, oh, wow, here's the things I get to work on now because I now know them, because I now have that awareness. So that's my challenge to you.
Very positive. Ending on a positive note. Thank you so much, Mary. We waited 2 months to a year. I don't know when it was first our idea to do this, but
it was in April. Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
Thank you everybody for coming. I love the small engaged groups. Yes, I had a lot of fun as well. I can send out an email blast when this is posted to the YouTube channel. And everybody have a great rest of your evening. Nisha, you have a great start to your day.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.